Chosen one, if you're hearing this right now, understand this deeply. This moment was not accidental. You didn't scroll into this message. You were summoned. Something beyond logic, beyond algorithms, beyond coincidence aligned heaven and time just to meet you here. There is a reason your spirit feels alert, unsettled, awake. Heaven has been watching you longer than you realize. You've been carrying questions you never voiced, pain you learned to hide, confusion that didn't come from weakness, but from calling. And chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, and comment here if your spirit is already responding, because this message is about to speak directly to you, not your ears, but your soul. Chosen one, God said no to something you wanted desperately. A door you prayed would open stayed shut. A path that looked right, felt right, even made sense, collapsed without warning. And you wondered why. You questioned yourself. You questioned heaven. You replayed moments late at night asking, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? But hear this now. That no was not rejection. It was intervention. There were things hidden in that future you couldn't see yet. Weights that would have bent your spirit, environments that would have slowly silenced your light, victories that came at the cost of your essence. God investigated the path before you ever stepped onto it. What looked like loss was actually protection in disguise. You've survived unseen battles. Battles where you smiled in public but fought shadows alone. Battles where your faith was tested in silence. Where answers didn't come fast. Where strength was demanded before understanding arrived. And still, you're here, still breathing, still seeking, still chosen. This delay, this detour, this divine interruption, it wasn't punishment, it was precision. Heaven stepped in because your life carries weight, because your calling cannot be rushed, because what's ahead requires a version of you that is healed, sharpened, and whole. So if something inside you is stirring right now, don't ignore it. The truth you've been waiting for is about to rise to the surface. Stay with me, chosen one, because the reason God said no is about to be revealed. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let this sink in. What you wanted was not wrong. It felt right, didn't it? The timing seemed perfect. The path looked clear. You reached for it with all your heart, believing this was your destiny unfolding. But here is the truth. What you wanted was incomplete. It was only a piece of a puzzle your soul could not yet comprehend. And that's why it never fully arrived. That is why God said no. The desires you held weren't evil, and they weren't mistakes. They were signals, whispers of your spirit longing to move, to grow, to exist fully. Yet chosen one, they were shadows of a future too small for your calling. They were fragments, glimpses of what could have been, not the fullness of what was meant to be. God knew your heart was ready to reach beyond comfort, beyond the familiar, and so that no became a shield, a divine pause that your human mind may have struggled to accept. Think about it. How often have we chased what looked achievable, only to find that it left us feeling empty once it was in our grasp? That very emptiness is not failure. It is divine redirection. God didn't deny you to punish you. He denied you to preserve the integrity of your spirit. The moment you were about to step into something that would have met your desire, but not your destiny, the heavens intervene. That no was a lighthouse in the storm, guiding you away from paths that seemed certain, but would have dimmed the light of who you were meant to become. And chosen one, have you felt that strange tension in your soul? That pull towards something you knew wasn't quite right, yet couldn't let go? That is God whispering through your intuition, preparing you to wait for the fullness of what is coming. What you wanted would have satisfied the moment, but what you need, the life that is designed for your true potential, requires preparation, patience, and alignment with your divine calling. Every lesson, every detour, every season of waiting is shaping you to step into something far greater than your imagination can hold. Do you see it now? That no you received wasn't a rejection, it was refinement. The path you were blocked from walking was a path that would have tested more than your skill or your courage. It would have tested your integrity, your spirit, and your ability to remain whole. God's timing is surgical, precise, and unwavering. The delay, the closed doors, the unanswered prayers, they are not random. They are divine choreography, moving you exactly where you are meant to be at exactly the right moment. So as you sit with this chosen one, let the weight of it settle in your soul. Let it remind you that every longing, every desire, every dream you've held close has been observed, refined, and prepared. God is not slow. He is not careless. He is molding you for the future that aligns with your purpose, your calling, your light. And when that future arrives, it will not just meet your expectations, it will exceed them. It will honor the entirety of who you are, without compromise, without fragmentation. Ask yourself now, are you ready to stop chasing shadows and start receiving what has been waiting for you? Are you ready to trust that the no you received was not denial but a divine yes to the life that aligns with your soul? Hold that question, chosen one, because the next revelation is coming, and it will change the way you see every closed door, every delayed answer, and every redirected path in your life. The lesson is clear. What you wanted was never enough. What you needed was the hand of God guiding you toward the fullness of your destiny. And now the waiting, the refining, the quiet preparation, it's all converging. Stay close because the next message will reveal the door that God has been opening just for you. Chosen one, have you ever felt the weight of a door closing on you and thought it was over? That moment when your plans, your prayers, your efforts seem to collide with an immovable wall, that's exactly the moment when God leaned in. That no you received wasn't denial, and it wasn't punishment. It was intervention, divine, quiet, and precise. God stepped in before the damage could even touch you, before a path that looked promising could erode the foundation of your soul. Imagine for a moment that life is a vast labyrinth, full of corridors that sparkle with opportunity, but some of those corridors lead to traps carefully hidden in shadows. You were about to walk into one of those traps. You would have moved forward with determination, believing in your strength and wisdom, only to slowly give pieces of yourself away to circumstances that demanded more than you could afford to lose. And yet God intervened. He blocked that path, not to frustrate you, but to preserve your spirit, to protect your integrity, to safeguard the light He planted within you. This intervention often feels invisible. It feels like silence when you are expecting guidance. It feels like a delay when you were ready to leap. But this is the nature of divine protection. God doesn't always make His presence loud. Sometimes His love is the quiet hand that redirects you, the subtle nudge that prevents you from running toward harm disguised as opportunity. What felt like rejection, a door slamming shut, a prayer unanswered, a plan falling apart, was actually a shield, forged by the hands of eternity, placed exactly where it needed to be. In Chosen One, have you ever considered that the pain of a closed door is often less than the pain you were spared? What you thought was a setback was actually a safety net. The path you were stopped from walking may have rewarded you in the moment, but at a cost your spirit could not have sustained. That no was the difference between temporary success and lasting destruction, between reaching a goal and losing your calling, between moving fast and arriving broken. God's timing and His no are far wiser than our wants. So now I ask you, will you start seeing God's interruptions differently? Will you see the closed doors, the redirected plans, the unanswered prayers not as personal failures, but as evidence that heaven is protecting you, shaping you, and preparing you for what only He can give? That no was a safeguard. That no was divine engineering. That no was a whisper from eternity saying, you are too valuable to be placed where you will be diminished. You are too chosen to be guided by mere chance. And Chosen One, as you let that sink in, remember this. Every no in your life carries a hidden blessing. Every closed door is a fortress of protection. Every interruption is a divine intervention aligned with the deepest desires of your soul. The universe may appear to deny you, but it is actually orchestrating the path to your fullness, your destiny, your triumph. So do not fear the no. Do not resent the closed doors. Embrace them, because they are proof that God is walking ahead of you, guarding you, guiding you, and preparing you for a future far beyond what you can yet imagine. The question now, chosen one, is, are you ready to trust that God's no is actually his protection? Are you ready to walk forward knowing that every detour has divine purpose and that what's coming will honor your spirit, your calling, and your life in ways you've never known? Stay with me, because the revelation of this divine timing is only just beginning. Chosen one, have you felt it? That sudden silence after your plans collapsed. That strange emptiness when the map you had trusted for so long disappeared from under your feet. The goals you worked for, the prayers you believed would be answered, the steps you meticulously planned all seemed to crumble at once. And in that moment, confusion rushed in like a tidal wave, leaving you uncertain, frustrated, maybe even afraid. It's natural. It is human. And yet that confusion is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It is proof that something far greater is being prepared in the hidden spaces of your life. Think about this. Chosen one, confusion doesn't appear randomly. It arrives precisely at the intersection of what has ended and what is yet to begin. Your old direction, the life that seemed certain, has dissolved, not to punish you, not to shame you, but to clear the stage for the arrival of a new vision. God removes what no longer serves your destiny so that your spirit can breathe, your clarity can sharpen, and your calling can fully emerge. What feels like disorientation is actually divine recalibration. And in that disorientation, questions arise. Why now? Why me? What did I do wrong? These questions are natural in chosen one. They are also necessary. They break the hold of false certainty, the comfort of familiar paths, and the weight of expectations that were never aligned with your purpose. God allows this confusion to test your trust, to see whether your faith depends on circumstances or whether it is anchored in the unseen, in the divine orchestration of your life. Every moment of uncertainty is a moment that stretches your spirit, that builds endurance, and that prepares you to receive the vision he has been shaping in secret. Imagine standing in the dark just before dawn. The stars above you are familiar, but the horizon is empty. It feels as if nothing is guiding you. And yet, it is in that very darkness that the first light begins to form. Confusion is the darkness, the absence of certainty. But it is not emptiness, it is space. Space where God is writing the next chapter of your life, where he is sketching a path that you could never have imagined, where he is gathering the exact people, circumstances, and insights you need to move forward in alignment with your destiny. So, chosen one, I ask you, are you willing to embrace the confusion instead of fighting it? Can you allow the collapse of your plans to become the fertile ground where new purpose grows? Can you trust that what feels like chaos is actually divine choreography, arranging the pieces of your life in a pattern that will soon reveal itself in brilliance? This is the moment where your faith stretches, where patience becomes power, where stillness becomes preparation. And know this, the clarity you seek is coming. The vision that feels absent is already in motion. God is not finished with you. He is not absent. He is working in the silence, moving in the shadows, orchestrating the unseen so that when the doors finally open, you will step into a life that aligns perfectly with your calling, your gifts, and your destiny. Confusion is not the end, chosen one. It is the divine pause before the unveiling. It is the necessary space for transformation. And as you sit with this truth, remember, what has collapsed was never yours to hold permanently, and what is coming is more magnificent than you can yet imagine. Trust the timing, trust the process, trust the God who has always been guiding you, even when the map disappeared. Chosen one, have you noticed that the moments that tested you most were also the moments that shaped you the deepest? The nights when silence answered your prayers, the days when doors remained closed despite your relentless effort, the situations that seemed to push against you rather than toward you. That chosen one is the furnace of resistance. It is the soil in which the strength grows. And God, in his wisdom, allowed these challenges to press against you, not to break you, but to mold you, to anchor you, to prepare you for the fullness of your calling. Some forms of strength can only be forged under pressure. You cannot know patience without waiting. You cannot cultivate wisdom without wrestling with confusion. You cannot know the depth of your spirit without standing firm against the currents that would sweep you away. Resistance is not punishment, it is training. It is the divine hand guiding your growth when the path seems obstructed. Every delay, every difficulty, every moment that feels heavy is a deliberate step in your refinement. And chosen one, have you considered that the very things you resisted the most were the things that God used to secure your foundation? What seemed unbearable at the time, what made your soul ache and your mind question, is what is now anchoring you. You have grown steadier, not because life became easier, but because your spirit learned to bend without breaking, to wait without despair, and to trust without needing immediate answers. That is the kind of growth that cannot be rushed. That is the kind of strength that will carry you through every storm, every challenge, and every opportunity that aligns with your divine destiny. Think of a tree in the wind. It is the resistance of the gusts, the push of the storm, that drives the roots deeper into the earth. Without the wind, the tree may rise, but it will not stand firm. You, chosen one, are like that tree. The trials, the delays, the unanswered prayers, they are not obstacles. They are the forces driving your roots deeper into faith, wisdom, and divine alignment. Every moment of waiting, every moment of resistance is a gift from God, shaping your spirit into something unshakable. Ask yourself now, chosen one, are you ready to see resistance not as rejection, not as delay, but as divine cultivation? Can you embrace the pressure, the slow seasons, the unanswered questions, knowing that they are producing patience where impulsiveness once lived, maturity where immaturity once lingered, and steady strength where uncertainty once threatened? Every resistance you faced has been an invisible hand guiding you, a divine choreography unseen by human eyes but orchestrated by heaven itself. And here is the truth that will settle in your spirit if you let it. God never allows resistance without purpose. He never lets your patience be tested without intent. The unanswered prayers, the closed doors, the silent nights, they are all part of a spiritual architecture, carefully designed to build the version of you that is ready to receive the fullness of your destiny. Growth through resistance is not accidental. It is deliberate. It is sacred. It is the quiet, powerful forging of a chosen one, a soul prepared to walk in alignment with the divine, unshakable, and anchored in purpose. So, chosen one, when the resistance feels heavy, when the waiting feels endless, remember this: each push, each delay, each unanswered moment is not the end of your story. It is the shaping of your story. It is the deepening of your spirit. It is God's way of ensuring that when your time comes, you will not merely arrive. You will stand unmovable, unshakable, fully equipped for the destiny that is uniquely yours. Chosen one, have you ever looked back at a door that closed and suddenly felt the weight of relief? That moment when the disappointment fades and you begin to see the wisdom in what you once thought was denial? That clarity is not accidental. It is the gentle unveiling of divine truth. God doesn't always explain his timing in advance. Sometimes he acts in silence, closing doors to protect you before your mind or heart could even understand the stakes. And only afterward, once the dust settles, do you realize that the path you mourned was never meant to carry the fullness of your destiny? Think about it. Chosen one. The door closed, the noise faded, and suddenly the picture became clearer. You could see what you would have sacrificed, what you would have lost, and what you would have carried alone if you had pressed forward. The people you would have encountered, the compromises you would have made, the energy you would have invested, all became visible in hindsight. That clarity, though delayed, is God's way of showing you that his no was not arbitrary. It was protection. It was precision. It was a love so deep and exact that your human understanding could only grasp it after the fact. And chosen one, let me ask you, how often do we curse the closed doors before we see the blessing behind them? How often do we question our path, our timing, our worth, without realizing that every closed door is a boundary God placed to preserve your spirit? What felt like rejection was actually a shield, a space cleared for your soul to breathe, a moment to pause, to heal, and to prepare for what is coming next. Clarity only comes after the fog lifts. And that fog exists so that when light finally breaks through, you will recognize its brilliance and the precision of God's hand guiding every moment. Consider this. When a door closes, it does more than redirect. It forces your attention to what matters, it removes distractions, and it protects you from unseen burdens. In the silence that follows, you are given the gift of reflection, a chance to see the cost of the path you were spared, the weight you would not have been ready to carry, and the wisdom you could not have gained otherwise. God allows understanding to arrive after protection because He values your integrity, your wholeness, and the full alignment of your spirit with your destiny. So, chosen one, are you willing to trust the timing of God's interventions? Can you allow the closed doors to become lenses through which you see your life with greater depth, clarity, and gratitude? Every door that shut was not a loss. It was a preparation. Every closed chapter, every delayed promise, every unanswered prayer carries within it a revelation meant to awaken your perception and sharpen your discernment. And here is the promise that must settle in your soul. When you finally see what you were spared, you will understand that the no you received was never a denial of your desires. It was the safeguarding of your destiny. It was the protection of your calling. It was God's hand guiding you with precision, ensuring that when you move forward, you will do so fully equipped, fully aligned, and fully ready for the life He has been preparing just for you. Clarity, chosen one, is the reward for patience, trust, and faith. It comes after the doors close, after the confusion fades, after the resistance strengthens you. And when it arrives, it will illuminate not just what you avoided, but who you are becoming, a chosen one, refined, anchored, and walking fully in the purpose God ordained for your life. Chosen one. Imagine what it would feel like to move through life without resistance, without the constant push against currents that never seem to align. That is the power of alignment. Walking not ahead of God, but with Him, step by step, moment by moment, attuned to His timing and His direction. When you align with God, life stops being a struggle and begins to flow. Peace replaces pressure, and clarity replaces confusion. The paths that once seemed tangled now open with divine precision. Alignment changes everything, chosen one. It transforms your relationships, your decisions, your career, your purpose, even your perception of time. Suddenly, doors that once frustrated you open naturally. Opportunities that seemed distant arrive at exactly the right moment. And the weight you carried alone is shared with the one who knows the full story of your life. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration, where every step you take is guided by a hand infinitely wiser than your own. And chosen one, have you felt the subtle difference when you move with God rather than against Him? When you try to force outcomes, you feel drained, restless, anxious. You chase, push, struggle, and yet satisfaction never arrives. But when you wait for alignment, when you pause and trust the invisible currents of divine timing, something shifts. What once required effort now flows effortlessly. What once felt heavy now feels light. You begin to walk toward what fits the essence of who you are becoming, rather than grasping for what merely seemed appealing in the moment. Think of a river, chosen one. When water flows against the rocks, it splashes, struggles, and loses energy. But when it flows with the channel carved for it, it moves with ease, power, and grace. Your life, your destiny, your calling, all are like that river. When you force your way, when you push ahead of God's timing, you exhaust yourself. But when you align, when you trust, when you move with the divine current, everything changes. Strength emerges, peace emerges, clarity emerges, and your steps carry a rhythm that echoes the heartbeat of heaven itself. Ask yourself now, are you willing to stop striving against the current of God's timing? Are you willing to release the pressure, surrender the impatience, and allow your life to be reshaped by alignment? Because chosen one, alignment is not passive, it is active trust. It is a conscious choice to let go of control, to let go of outcomes that drain your spirit, and to step into the flow of a life that honors your gifts, your calling, and your destiny. When you walk in alignment, you stop chasing shadows. You stop pursuing what drains your soul. You no longer settle for what only looks like success, but instead you move toward the life that feels like home for your spirit. Alignment transforms not just your circumstances, but your very perception of who you are and who you are becoming. It turns waiting into preparation, resistance into strength, and closed doors into the pathways of destiny. And chosen one, hear this. Your life is not meant to be lived in struggle or in constant striving. It is meant to be lived in alignment. When you synchronize with God's timing, your steps become powerful, your spirit becomes steady, and your destiny becomes unavoidable. Peace, clarity, joy, and purpose no longer feel like distant dreams. They become your lived reality. So the question now is, chosen one, are you ready to stop forcing your life and start aligning with the one who already knows the way? Are you ready to walk with God, allowing your life to be transformed, refined, and elevated into the fullness of what you were created to be? Because alignment is not just a choice, it is the doorway to everything you have been waiting for.